Hello, welcome to my presentation, the intimidating upgrade. So we are going to talk about Drupal 7 upgrades and how it might not always be as awful as you've heard. As long as this works correctly, we got to move fast because I'm basically going to try to take a functional Drupal 7 website that has had content added to it for 10 years and take that database and upgrade it to Drupal 9 and Backdrop CMS before we get out of here. So let's go. I'm Justin Kaiser. I'm a Drupal web programmer for the Academy of Model Aeronautics in Muncie, Indiana. I'm Kaiser JB on the internets, and I work at the International Aero Modeling Center, or IAC. We've got 1,000 square acres carved out of the East Central Indiana cornfields for our members to come take advantage of. And what do our members do? Well, the Academy of Model Aeronautics was started in 1936, and it is the leading nonprofit organization for promoting and advocating for the hobby of model aviation in the world. Our community of over 150,000 members and over 2,000 model aviation clubs sanction thousands of events and competitions every year. No matter what you fly, fixed-wing models, jets, helicopters, drones, or first-person view, we are here for you. Come check us out. It's kind of cool living or working in this sort of environment because I can walk outside when the weather is nice in the summer and see wonderful, cool model planes like this fly all over the sky. Sometimes the helicopter guys show up, and those are pretty cool too. They do all sorts of wild things in the sky. So there's a train on here, which is not a plane because less than 100 yards behind me, there is a major railway, CSX, between St. Louis and Detroit. It's quite likely that we are going to hear train horns during this. If we do, my dog is going to go crazy, and we're going to have chaos, and I apologize in advance if that happens. Okay, done with all that. Drupal 7 websites. I've got 4 of them. Some of you maybe have more than that. There's still 500,000 Drupal 7 websites out there. So what path do we take? What do we do with these old websites? Of course, you could do nothing, which is probably a terrible idea, but I'm sure some folks will do it and just stay on an unsupported version of Drupal. There's going to be extended support, so you can buy extended support from vendors and keep using your Drupal 7 site. You could turn your Drupal 7 site into a static site and not let anybody access the Drupal backend, but still have a static HTML front end where the site would work just like it always did, pretty much. You can upgrade it to Drupal 9. Sometimes that's easy. Sometimes that can be hard. You could put a Drupal website in WordPress. I mean, it's an option, but we're at a Drupal camp, so we're not going to talk about that. You could put it in something else. And what I'm deciding to do is whether to use Drupal 9 or Backdrop. Now, I really like Backdrop. I've worked on it. I've worked with it in the past. 2 years ago, I went to a training on Backdrop at Drupal Camp Asheville, and I came home and immediately started upgrading the website that I worked on to Backdrop from Drupal 7. So and I had no idea what I was doing. So you can accomplish it. Backdrop is basically new and improved Drupal 7. It was forked from a very early version of Drupal 8. It's possibly an easier and faster upgrade path from Drupal 7. When you upgrade a Drupal 7 site to Backdrop, your views come in as configuration. So if you have a bunch of views and view displays, you won't have to rebuild them, which you do in Drupal 9. A concept in Backdrop is that layouts are separate from themes. The themes are just CSS for the most part. There's a small but growing community that supports it. Whereas on the other hand, Drupal 9 is much more complex. You use Composer to manage dependencies. When you upgrade a Drupal 7 site to Drupal 9, the views aren't included, and you're probably going to have to rebuild those by hand and use Twig themes. But there's this large established community that supports it. So I've got a couple links here. Upgrading to Drupal 7 from upgrading a backdrop from Drupal 7, which is on the Backdrop website. There's 3 steps included. We're going to hopefully summarize them. And then we're going to use this method, upgrading through the web browser, to upgrade to Drupal 9, which is probably not going to work in all cases, but with such a simple site like this, it's going to work. There are 2 modules to keep in mind. There is a backdrop update status module for upgrade status module for Drupal 7 that you can install, and it tells you which modules that you have installed on your site will work in Backdrop, are available in Backdrop. Same thing exists for a Drupal 9 equivalent called upgrade status. You can install those both on your Drupal 7 site and do an analysis and figure out which modules you need to install on your blank Backdrop and blank Drupal 9 sites that you're going to put your upgrade in, and which modules won't work and which ones you have to turn off, and they're a great help. But my advice actually is to turn off everything possible and start with as clean a site as possible. Let's get to the fun part. So, preparing the site for an upgrade. I have my website, theparkpilot.org. This is what we are going to put in Drupal 9 and Backdrop. So it's a quarterly magazine. We've had articles added to it for 10 years or so. We're going to upgrade this. So I made 2 more branches. I made a Drupal preparation branch and a Backdrop preparation branch. And they look pretty much the same because I changed the theme back to Bartik. Because if you don't upgrade with a theme that is in what you're going to, your blocks get all messed up and they go in weird places, and you've got to go in and edit them later. So I turned the theme back to Bartik, the admin theme to 7. I turned off almost all of the contrib modules and even some core modules. I turned basically everything off that I could. And from the Backdrop branch, I exported the database. And we're going to use the database from the Drupal branch. So this is my VS Code that is connected to this Drupal 7 branch, and I need to make sure I'm on the right one. Okay, so let's turn on, let's do the Drupal 9. So I've got a blank Drupal 9 site here where after I did my upgrade status analysis, I not only installed the site, but I installed some modules. So like address, add any Antipod, Google Analytics, modules that I'm going to need. Then I logged in and I turned on the migrate modules. If you toggle open migrate UI, you get configure. And that's what we're going to do. I got access to the database. We got all this stuff. So we're going to continue and we're going to put stuff, we're going to fill out this UI. I'm going to start down at the bottom, and do it from bottom to top, which is probably not the way most people will do it, because I want to make sure I'm getting my site files from the correct place. So you put in the URL of the site that you're going to pull the site's default files public from. And then I need to connect this to the database. So I need my database host. Put in here. I need my database name. And my username and my password. And I've done this enough times that I know what they are. User. And then I put the password in. Now I'm going to review the upgrade. It's going to tell me that I'm going to delete stuff, which, yeah, I don't care about that. Now this screen is awful because it tells me that 2/3 of my modules are not going to be upgraded. But don't get scared by that because it'll work out. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hit perform upgrade. And now it's going. So while that progress bar is going, I'm going to bounce over, and I also have a blank backdrop site. Now the backdrop instructions tell you not to actually go through the installer for the site. This is already installed. So I know that when I run update.php, I'm going to get an error message because I need to not have these tables in the database. So I'm going to drop them. And I know that because I've done this a bunch of times and I've seen the error messages. But you're not going to know that unless you've done this before. So now I've got a blank backdrop database. I've deleted the table. I've dropped the tables that I'm not going to need. Now I'm going to import the database dump from my backdrop branch of Drupal 7. And doing this in PHPMyAdmin only works with small databases too, small files, obviously. Let's bounce back over to the Drupal and see how this is going. Yep. You get an error message. So watch this. You hit the back button. Do that again. Oh, didn't work. I got no content. But I got files. So let's do that again. Let's put in all the stuff. I have the site for the photos, even though the photos are already there. We're going to get the scary module screen again, and we're going to perform the upgrade. Meanwhile, over here in Backdrop land, we have successfully imported the database to PHP Magnet. So now I need to go to core/update.php. And now it's going to tell me that, oh, well, you can't do that. You need to go to your settings.php and change update free access from false to true. I'm going to save it. And then I can refresh. Let's go check on Drupal. Yep, Drupal's still going. So let's hit continue for the database upgrade. Oh, 273 pending updates. It seems like a lot. Let's do the apply pending updates. Oh. Well, it's slowing down. It's done. More or less. Okay. So I did get a warning and a notice, but for the most part, it worked. So I can go to my home page and check that out. I got magazine articles and I got pictures. Well, let's go check on the Drupal. It's done. It's done. Give me another error message. Let's see if the content arrived. And it did. And I got files. Let's log out because it logs me in as user 1, which I don't know the password for, which I should probably fix. But we got articles and we got pictures. Yay! All right, so if I log into the Backdrop version, you're going to notice something weird. I logged in as an admin and I don't have the admin toolbar. So when I go to permissions, there's actually 2 administrator roles now. One of them is left over from Drupal, and the upgrade process actually made another one. So the one with most of the checkboxes checked, I'm going to finish checkmarking. I'm going to save the permissions. Then I'm going to go make sure I got the right permission. I do. So I'm going to go down to roles now, and I'm just going to delete the one without all the permissions. Move this one down there. Change the administrator role to administrator. Save the configuration. Good to go. Now, here, probably change it to basis. And then back on the Drupal site, I would probably change it to Olivero. And we are not going to attempt sub-themes in either case. But our goal was to get the content of the Drupal 7 site into Drupal 9 and backdrop. We did that and then we changed the themes. So it's pretty cool. Yes, do not forget, Drupal 8 end of life happens November 2nd. That is 4 days away. So maybe we should have talked about that instead of Drupal 7, because Drupal 7 was a year away. So thanks for coming.